recognize myself now for a few questions, and I want to come back to this theme of the surveillance state that a number of other members and of course the witnesses have touched on. And we've heard some stories about relatively old-fashioned surveillance, people being forced to take in informants in their homes, for example, based on just large numbers of people working for the Chinese security police. But a lot of it is quite sophisticated technologically, and I just want to maybe ask you, Mr. Turkel, to talk about the role that facial recognition technology plays in all of this. It's not just cameras; it's the software behind the cameras. Is that not right?
Yes. Yeah. This surveillance is happening both in China and here to our fellow Americans. In China, initially they started with collecting voice samples, iris scans, DNA samples to build this giant biometric data for the Uyghurs, and that paved the way for using integrated joint operating platform that Human Rights Watch documented, reverse engineered to collectively rounding up people. So now if you go to any Uyghur homes, they have a QR code on the door. So the officials can scan and find out who lives there, what kind of relatives at home in China and abroad, what kind of profession that they have, the past writings, the job history, everything, even the way that they engage in religious practice. And here at home, based on the report that the UHRP published in 2019, they're using telephone messages, video chat to threaten the Uyghur Americans in homeland here. And also, Darren Byler, an American scholar, went to China in 2019, came back with a bone-chilling report, reported that close to 1 million Chinese cadres have been implanted in the Uyghur homes, eating with them, sleeping with them, uninvited, and there have been also reported sexual violence against the Uyghur woman whose husband had been taken to the camps. So this has been happening.
Let me stop you there, because I want to move this along just a bit. The technology, the system, as you mentioned, is exported, and this is something that concerns all of us. It's one reason why this is a threat to the world. But the technology is imported in many cases. We know that, for example, Intel and NVIDIA chips are help to power the supercomputers that China uses to manage all this data. Oracle has provided technology to Chinese police. Hewlett-Packard owns 49% of H3C, a Chinese company that provides the switches, surveillance network, control systems to law enforcement in Xinjiang and around China. I assume you would think it would be helpful for Congress to go beyond just recommending voluntary due diligence on the part of U.S. companies, but to actually prohibit the export of technology to China that could be used in commission of these human rights abuses.
Certainly. The existing laws, existing resources are not sufficient to tackle these.
And we did, in fact, pass such legislation in the House twice last year, including as part of the National Defense Bill, which was strangely and mysteriously stripped from the final bill by the Senate Banking Committee. We're going to try to do this again.
Absolutely.
This year. I'll just end on I want to shift and then make a point about the diplomacy that's needed in the Muslim world. And I want to ask you quickly, have you seen any evidence of, for example, the Arab satellite networks running documentaries, shows, news about what's happening to the Uyghurs? Just very quickly.
I have not seen the satellite, but they have been using the diplomatic representatives in Beijing on CGTN to dissipate misinformation about.
Until that starts happening, and I give this administration credit for beginning to raise this issue globally in a way that we haven't before. But frankly, it particularly in the Middle East, unless this becomes part of the priority conversation, which right now is dominated understandably by issues like Iran and recognition of Israel and the situation in Yemen and many other issues we want them to be raising with these countries. Unless my friend Brett McGurk, the coordinator for the Middle East at the NSC, puts this on his agenda when he has breakfast with the Emirati ambassador, it's just not going to change. And I think this is something that we need to be pressing with the administration as we take on this issue.